Changes have already been made to the sweeping Republican tax overhaul proposal. Kevin Brady, who chairs the House Tax Writing Committee, has released a revised version of the plan that would lower the overall value of the proposal. Brady also says President Trump wants the tax bill to repeal the Obamacare individual mandate, the penalty for Americans who fail to buy health insurance. Repealing that mandate would save the government about $400 billion, but it would also result in lost insurance for up to 15 million Americans. Here to talk about that and everything else, and boy, there is a lot, in Washington is Shannon Pettypiece, White House correspondent for Bloomberg News. Shannon, great to see you. Let's first start with the Russia piece. We know about Paul Manafort, George Papadopoulos. Now we're hearing news that Carter Page may have had undisclosed meetings with Russian officials. How concerned is the White House at this moment?
Well, on the surface, the White House is playing a very calm, cool attitude about all this. There's nothing here, nothing to hide. We're fully cooperating. There's obviously tensions among the staff who are being interviewed continuing into next week. There have already been a number of interviews. The White House is hoping those interviews are wrapped up by Thanksgiving. That might be wishful thinking, but there are a lot of tensions that come with that about who's talking to who, and not to mention the huge legal bills they are starting to face as they get called in front of Mueller and potentially congressional committees.
Meanwhile, the Washington Post is reporting that the president's longtime bodyguard, Keith Schiller, is expected to testify to the House Intelligence Committee next week about this dossier, about the president's trip to Moscow in 2013. How concerned should the White House be about that?
Well, other than the president's family, no one is closer to him than Keith Schiller. Keith Schiller is often the first person he sees in the morning and the last person he sees at night other than his wife. And I should say that's until August when Schiller left the White House. He is a bodyguard, a body man. He is a confidant. He's a friend. No. And he has been with the president step by step through the campaign, through his time as presidency until he left in August, and through his rise as a businessman and a reality TV star. So he was in Moscow at that Miss Universe pageant in the dossier. He was sitting next to him on every phone call during the campaign. So Keith Schiller knows a lot, but he is fiercely loyal to the president. So don't expect him to be singing like a canary to anybody anytime soon.
Shannon, independent of the Russia investigation, the thing that is taking up apparently a lot of bandwidth in the White House is the fate of tax reform in Congress. How likely is this House-announced plan to fly in the Senate?
This is going to be a tough battle. And I know the members who have put this bill together are trying to make it sound like it'll be done by Christmas. I guess who knows, anything is possible. But when I talk to people on the Hill, they say if you thought health care was hard, wait till you see tax reform, because tax reform is touching every inch and sector of the U.S. economy. There are enormous special interests here. Yeah. There is division within the Republican Party, and of course the Democrats are already this week, once they got their hands on this bill, picking at it and finding weak spots where they can use it to their advantage.
Meanwhile, the Democrats appear to be eating their own at this moment in time. What exactly? What is happening here? I mean, this is a party already in disarray that's only causing more internal dissension.
And this often happens to the party that loses the presidency, not to mention control of Congress. We've certainly seen turmoil in the Republican Party, but the Democratic Party is going through a transformative moment where they are going to have to figure out what they stand for, where they're going, and recruit really great candidates for 2018 if they want to have a chance. Nothing is in the bag for them, and there's a lot of soul searching going on right now for who the heart and soul and the future and fate of the Democratic Party is.
Meanwhile, we know the president is embarking on an extended trip to Asia. What's the expectation for that, Shannon?
Foreign policy is obviously going to be a big focus with North Korea. The White House is trying to use this as a chance to show unity in the region against North Korea, that this just isn't a South Korea problem or a Japan problem, something the entire region is taking seriously. There's also a big economic piece to this. The president earlier this year pulled out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, this trade deal. Now he's got to go in and make these bilateral, one-on-one trade deals with other countries. We have not seen much progress on that so far. He promised he'd be able to get us a better deal. So now the rubber's going to start meeting the road on that.
in terms of the rubber meeting the road, I mean, is there an expectation that the White House is going to return with it, or that the president is going to return with anything when he gets back to Washington?
There are definitely some deals that are trying to line up to show, which they do on a lot of these trips, to show that there's some sort of progress. It was interesting, there was a question in the press briefing the other day about who will be leading these talks.
Yeah.
Of course, we have a U.S. trade representative, but the White House said, well, the president, he is the one who is our deal maker out there, which is a bit unusual. Usually there is more of a staff and more of a group that works on these deals ahead of time. He's obviously a very hands-on president. He fancies himself quite a deal maker. So he's looking to do a lot of these one-on-one and has good relationships with Abe and Xi in China, obviously.
Well, he wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. We'll see what transpires. Shannon Pettypiece with Bloomberg. Thanks for your time, Shannon.